When the DNA sample I had submitted out of idle curiosity failed to match either of my parents, the world around me collapsed. Rain drummed against the roof of my $4 million home as I sat in my study, clutching the printed test results in trembling hands, feeling an abyss of strangers' secrets and 36 years of lies opening beneath me. My name is Alexander Mitchell. 48 hours ago, I was the successful owner of a chain of aesthetic medicine clinics, a man whose face smiled from the covers of business magazines, husband to a beautiful woman, father of two teenage daughters, owner of a mansion in an elite Chicago suburb and a collection of vintage cars. Today, I don't know who I am. It all started with a medical examination, a routine check for new insurance, a standard test I had taken dozens of times before. Nothing unusual, until the lab technician pulled me aside with a concerned expression. "Mr. Mitchell, you have an extremely rare blood type. This doesn't match the information in your medical records." I brushed it off, assuming an error in the old documentation. But the thought lodged somewhere in the back of my mind, like a splinter impossible to remove. A week later, I decided to take a DNA test, purely out of curiosity, without any suspicions. I ordered a home kit through a delivery service, submitted a sample, and sent it to the laboratory. The results arrived this morning, and they erased my entire life, transforming it into someone else's story. I am not the son of Patricia and Richard Mitchell. Biologically, I am not connected to either of these people whom I've called parents for 36 years. Patricia is 71. She lives in a country house I bought for her 5 years ago, after my father's death. We see each other once a week for Sunday dinner. I always considered our relationship normal, not particularly warm, but without conflicts. Now I'm trying to recall every moment of our interaction, searching my memory for signs I should have noticed. Strange slips of the tongue, inexplicable reactions, something that might have hinted at the truth. She never talked about my birth beyond dry facts. Born in Boston, in an ordinary hospital, in the winter of 1988. No heartfelt stories, no amusing details about my infancy. Just, "You were born, we were happy." My phone rings for the 5th time in the last hour. It's Sarah, my wife. I don't answer. What can I tell her? That the man she's lived with for 15 years has suddenly become a stranger to himself. The rain intensifies, turning into a real downpour. I take a sip of whiskey and look at my laptop screen. Dozens of tabs are open. Websites about finding biological parents, forums for adopted children, articles on DNA genealogy. In one window, the latest messages from the support service of the company that conducted the test. They confirm. There's no mistake. I am not related to those I considered my family. An old family album lies on the table. I never particularly cared about family history, but now I'm flipping through the yellowed pages, peering at each face, looking for any resemblance to myself. I turn the pages slowly, lingering on each photograph, and suddenly I notice something I hadn't seen before. In most pictures from before age 3, I look somehow unnatural, as if someone inserted my face into these photographs. Fine work, almost imperceptible, but now that I'm looking for deception, I see it. All these images are forgeries. My heart pounds wildly, so there isn't even documentary evidence of my infancy in this family. What else might be a lie? With trembling fingers, I dial my mother's number. 3 long rings, and she picks up. "Alex, has something happened? You never call on weekdays." Does her voice sound strangely tense? Or am I imagining it, already paranoid? Or have I always been without realizing it. I need to talk to you. My voice sounds unnaturally calm. A personal conversation. I'll come tomorrow. Tomorrow's Tuesday. I have my painting class. How about Thursday? Cancel your class. I don't recognize my own voice. This is important. A long pause, then a quiet sigh. All right, I'll expect you for lunch. I hang up without saying goodbye. Outside, it's already dark, and in the window glass, I see my reflection. The same man as yesterday, but now a stranger to himself. Who are you, Alexander Mitchell? And who are your real parents? Sleep doesn't come all night. At some point, I hear Sarah carefully opening the study door, but I pretend to be asleep in the armchair, and she quietly leaves. By morning, I make a decision not to tell her anything until after my conversation with my mother. The drive to the country house takes almost 2 hours. Outside the window, a grey November sky, bare trees, wet from yesterday's rain. I try to prepare for the conversation, but words scatter, giving way to pure, primal fury that builds with each mile. The house greets me with a perfectly manicured garden, the work of the gardener I hired and pay for. Everything here is bought with my money: furniture, appliances, even the clothes my mother wears. I pay for her whims, hobbies, medical services, and all this time she has been lying to me about the most important thing. She waits for me on the veranda, wrapped in a warm shawl. A small, grey-haired woman with unexpectedly sharp eyes. I suddenly realize that I truly never saw myself in her, not a single common feature. Alex, you look terrible. She tries to hug me, but I step back. I know, I say, pulling the folded test results from my pocket. I know that I'm not your son. She doesn't look surprised, doesn't try to deny it, just sinks into a chair and stares at her hands for a long time. Hands that were never the hands of my mother. Come inside, she finally says. We shouldn't discuss such things outside. In the living room, which I remember from childhood, though now I'm not sure any of my memories are real, she takes an old box from the cabinet. I've never seen it before. You were 10 months old when you came to us, she begins, not looking at me. Your father and I, Richard and I, had been trying to have a child for almost 10 years, unsuccessfully. Doctors, sanatoriums, healers, nothing helped. And then an opportunity arose. What opportunity? My voice sounds hoarse, as if I haven't spoken for days. She opens the box and takes out an old photograph, a young woman holding a baby. My heart skips a beat. I recognize myself, and this is definitely not a fake. Her name was Emily. Mother touches the woman's face in the photograph. Emily Walker. She was 21, and she was in trouble. The story, Patricia tells me, resembles a plot from a dramatic series. Emily, a young medical student, fell in love with her professor, got pregnant. He promised to marry her, but when she told him about the pregnancy, he disappeared from her life. Her parents turned their backs on her. She had to vacate her dormitory. Patricia, who worked at a women's health clinic then, helped her. I arranged all the documents. Officially, you became our son, adopted from an orphanage in Springfield, but in reality, we took you directly from her. She received money and the opportunity to finish her education. And we got you. I look at the photograph of the woman with a child in her arms. My real mother. There is no happiness in her eyes, only despair. You're saying she agreed? My voice is quiet, but anger simmers within it. Patricia lowers her eyes. She wasn't given a choice. She had no money, no housing, no support. I offered her a sum that would help her get back on her feet. You bought me. This isn't a question, but a statement, like a thing. We gave you everything, her voice rises. Education, opportunities, connections. You grew up in a prosperous family. Is that so bad? And what happened to her? To Emily? Patricia looks away. I don't know. We made an agreement. She gets the money and never tries to find you. We keep your origin a secret. Everyone agreed. Everyone except me, and possibly her. I feel my hands trembling. Who is my biological father? That professor? His name was Dr. Thomas Lawrence, professor of neurosurgery. He wanted nothing to do with the child. He was married. He had a career. The name seems familiar. I open my phone, quickly type in the search engine. And at that moment, it's as if I've been electrocuted. Professor Thomas Lawrence, leading neurosurgeon, department head, 3-time recipient of state awards. The man who operated on my eldest daughter 2 years ago after a car accident. The man to whom I am personally grateful for her life. My biological father. Did he know who I was when he operated on my daughter, his granddaughter? My voice shakes. Patricia shakes her head. No, of course not. He never saw you. Didn't know your name. It's just a coincidence. Coincidence? I laugh, and it sounds like a bark. My daughter almost died, and she was operated on by a man who rejected me before I was born. And you call that a coincidence? She doesn't answer. I look at the photograph of my real mother. A young woman, almost a girl. Now she should be around 57, if she's alive. I want to find her, I say, rising. And him too. Alex, please, pleading notes appear in Patricia's voice. Think about your family, about Sarah, about the girls. Why do you need this? So many years have passed. You stole the truth about my origin from me. 36 years of lies. And now you're asking me to forget about it. I leave the house without saying goodbye. Chaos reigns in my head, but one thought pulses distinctly. Find them both. The woman who gave birth to me and gave me away for money, and the man who renounced me even before I was born. Finding Professor Lawrence proves easy. He still works at the Institute of Neurosurgery, performs operations, gives lectures. I secure 15 minutes in his tight schedule for an important meeting. I explain to his secretary that it's about potential investment in a research project. Money opens many doors. The professor's office is austere and functional. No unnecessary details, only the essentials. Like a neurosurgeon's scalpel. He's 65, but looks younger. Fit, with a penetrating gaze and confident movements. I peer into his face, looking for resemblance to myself. Maybe the jawline, the shape of the eyes. I'm not sure. How can I help? He doesn't waste time on pleasantries. Don't you recognize me, Professor? I ask, carefully watching his reaction. He frowns. Have we met before? 2 years ago, you operated on my daughter after a car accident. Skull trauma. His gaze clears. Yes, of course. Mitchell, Olivia, if I'm not mistaken. Complex case. How is she now? Fully recovered, thanks to you. He nods, accepting the gratitude as his due. Glad to hear it. But you mentioned investments. Did you know a student named Emily Walker in 1987? He freezes. His face becomes inscrutable. I don't understand what you're getting at. I'm her son, I say directly, and judging by the DNA test results, yours too. The blood drains from his face. He mechanically reaches for a carafe of water, pours a glass, but his hand trembles and water spills onto the desk. This is impossible, he finally says. The child, he breaks off, was supposed to disappear from your life forever. That's how it was, Professor, until today. He looks at me with a long, studying gaze. What do you want? Money? I laugh. I have enough money. I want to know the truth. You abandoned a pregnant student who believed in you. You disowned your own child. And then fate played a cruel joke, and you saved the life of your granddaughter without even suspecting it. That was long ago. His voice sounds tired. Another life. I was young, foolish. You were 15 years older than her, a professor, a mentor. She trusted you. What do you want? He straightens in his chair. Public repentance? Publicity? You'll destroy my reputation, my career. I want to find her, my real mother. He shakes his head. I don't know where she is. We didn't maintain contact after she announced her pregnancy. You abandoned her with a child in her arms. I gave her money. He raises his voice. Enough to solve the problem. Problem? I feel anger rising like a wave. Is that what you call your son? A problem? Listen. He leans back in his chair, regaining his composure. I understand your feelings, but 36 years have passed. You have your life. I have mine. What are you trying to achieve? The truth. I have the right to know my story, and to find the woman who gave birth to me. I haven't contacted her all these years. I don't know where she is. I pull from my inner pocket the photograph I took from Patricia's box. A young woman with a baby in her arms. This is her, and this is me. Are you sure you never saw her again? He looks at the photograph for a long time. Something changes in his gaze. Emily. Yes, Emily Walker. My mother. He raises his eyes. I truly don't know where she is now, but I can help you find her. For the next 2 weeks, I live as if in a fog. I tell Sarah only part of the truth, that I found inconsistencies in family documents, suspect adoption, want to figure it out. She supports me, but I see concern in her eyes. We don't tell our daughters anything yet. Professor Lawrence, strangely enough, kept his promise. He used his connections to trace Emily Walker's path. According to his information, after graduating from the institute, she went to work in a small town near Cleveland. Got married, changed her surname to Reynolds, divorced 5 years later, had no more children. To my surprise, Lawrence seems genuinely interested in the search. Perhaps it's awakened conscience, or simple curiosity. I don't know, and it doesn't matter. The main thing is that I have a lead. The last data on Emily Reynolds, formerly Walker, dates back to 2010. She worked as the head of the therapy department in a city hospital. Then, nothing. No mentions, no traces in the databases to which the professor has access. I take a vacation and go to that very town, whose name means nothing to me, a gloomy place with grey panel buildings and a single paved street. The city hospital turns out to be a dilapidated building with peeling paint. No one at the reception desk wants to talk to me until I show a wad of bills. Then a talkative middle-aged woman tells me that Dr. Reynolds was a good doctor, but very reserved. She resigned in 2012 of her own accord. Moved, it seems, to the regional center. I follow a cold trail, from hospital to hospital, from reception to reception. No one knows anything, or doesn't want to say. On the third day of searching, in yet another hospital, an elderly nurse with tired eyes says she remembers Emily Reynolds. They worked together for a year or two. Then Emily became seriously ill. Cancer. She was transferred to a hospice. My heart sinks. I'm not ready to hear that I've found my real mother only to lose her again. This time, forever. The hospice is on the outskirts of town. A white, single-story building surrounded by bare trees. Inside, the smell of medicine and quiet music from speakers. A young administrator politely but firmly refuses to provide any information about patients. I'm about to leave when a grey-haired doctor enters the lobby. "How can I help?" he asks, noticing my confusion. I show him the photograph of Emily, the old one, the only one I have. "I'm looking for this woman, Emily Walker, later Reynolds. I was told she might have been a hospice patient." The doctor looks carefully at the photograph, then at me. "What relation are you to Dr. Reynolds?" I take a deep breath. "I'm her son." She lies on a white bed, thin, almost transparent. Long grey hair spread across the pillow. When I enter the room, she slowly turns her head, her eyes, the only thing that remains alive, on her waxen face. "Dr. Reynolds," my voice trembles. "My name is Alexander Mitchell. I ... "I know who you are." Her voice is weak but distinct. "I always knew this day would come." I sit beside the bed, unable to take my eyes off her face. Now I see the resemblance. The same eyes, the same line of cheekbones. My mother, my real mother. "How did you recognize me?" A faint smile touches her lips. "I saw you on television. Your interview about the new clinic. You look very much like your father." "Why?" "Only one question matters. Why did you give me away?" She closes her eyes. "I didn't want to. I fought as hard as I could. But they left me no choice." "Who are they?" "Patricia and Richard. And your father." The story Emily tells me bears no resemblance to the version I heard from Patricia. The truth turns out to be much more frightening. She was indeed a student in love with her professor. He was married but swore he would divorce for her. When she became pregnant, he was initially happy, talked about a future together, about family. And then his wife found out about the affair. Margaret Lawrence was an influential woman, the daughter of a deputy health minister. Divorce could cost the professor his career, and he betrayed Emily, disowned the child. Moreover, together with his wife, they developed a plan to get rid of the problem. Patricia Mitchell, a nurse at the Women's Health Clinic, was Margaret Lawrence's cousin, a childless woman desperately dreaming of a baby. They offered a deal. Emily gives them her son and receives money to continue her education. In exchange, she never appears in their lives. I refused. Emily's voice trembles. "I said I would raise you myself." Then they started threatening. Margaret said her father could arrange for me to be deprived of parental rights, that I would never finish the institute, never become a doctor, that I would have to return to my rural hometown with the stigma of a fallen woman. Tears flow down her face, and I mechanically wipe them with a tissue. I still didn't agree. Then Patricia started coming every day, said she would give you everything I couldn't. Education, opportunities, a path in life, and Margaret was pressuring from the other side. At some point, they offered a compromise. I transfer custody of you, receive money, and finish my education. And then, when I get on my feet, I can restore relations with you. But that didn't happen, I say, feeling everything inside me turning cold. They deceived me, her voice breaks. After signing the papers, I never saw you again. Patricia took you and disappeared. When I tried to find you, I was told they had gone abroad. I called, wrote letters. It was all useless. She reaches out to me with a trembling hand, and I carefully take it, so light that it feels like I'm holding a bird's wing. They stole not only you from me, but also hope. Her eyes fill with tears. I tried to fight for you, but hit a wall. Your father, he used his connections to block all my attempts, and when I became too persistent, threats appeared. Unknown numbers, strange people following me. One night, someone tried to break into my apartment. A chilling horror grips me. The story I'm hearing resembles a crime thriller more than a family drama. Then I gave up. Emily continues, her voice now barely discernible. Left Boston. Started a new life. Tried to forget, but couldn't. Every year on your birthday, I lit a candle and thought about you, imagined how you had grown. And then I saw you on a magazine cover and realized that all these years I was right. You were doing well. Why didn't you contact me then? She smiles sadly. And what would I have said? Hello, I'm your real mother, who gave you to strangers. I didn't want to ruin your life. We sit in silence for some time. The room is quiet. Only the monitor beeps steadily, counting the beats of her heart. How long do you have left? I ask directly, as one doctor to another. 2 weeks, maybe less, she answers with professional detachment. Metastases in the liver, lungs, bones, palliative therapy no longer helps. I nod, swallowing the lump in my throat. Found and losing again. I didn't blame you, I say quietly. Even when I learned that I was given away. But now I know that you were forced, that you tried to find me. A weak nod. I always loved you, even without knowing you. Forgive me for not being stronger. I squeeze her hand. No, you forgive me, for not looking for you earlier, for losing so much time. I come to the hospice every day for the next week. We talk for hours when she has the strength. She tells me about her life, about working in small provincial hospitals, about patients she saved. I tell her about my clinics, about Sarah, about the girls, her granddaughters, whom she will never see. On the 8th day, I enter the room and realize time has almost run out. She's barely breathing, her face waxy with sharpened features. Alex, she whispers when I sit down beside her, promise me something. Anything. Don't take revenge on them. Her eyes are unexpectedly clear and determined. It will destroy you. I remain silent. Over these days, the anger within me has only grown. Cold, calculating anger of a man who had 36 years of relationship with his real mother stolen from him. They must answer for what they did to us, I say. Revenge won't bring back the lost years. She squeezes my hand with difficulty. It will only take away the future. You have a family, children. They stole you from me, and me from you. I'm dying peacefully because I found you. Her voice weakens. Don't let anger poison what remains. I don't answer, but a plan is already forming in my head. A cold, calculating plan of a man accustomed to achieving his goals. Emily dies 3 days later. Quietly, in her sleep, holding my hand, I organize a modest funeral attended only by me and a few of her colleagues. Sarah offers to come, but I refuse. This is my personal, intimate pain. Pain about what never was, but could have been. For the next 2 weeks, I seem to function on autopilot. I return home, tell Sarah and daughters an abbreviated version of the truth. That I found my biological mother, but she was terminally ill. They sympathize, but I see that for them, it's an abstraction, a woman they never knew and will never know. Inside me, a plan is maturing. I gather information, build a strategy. First on my list is Professor Lawrence, my biological father, the man who betrayed not only Emily, but also his own unborn son. His neurosurgery clinic is the perfect place for our accidental meeting. I use connections to organize a round table on private investment in healthcare. As the owner of a chain of clinics, I don't arouse suspicion. The conference hall is filled with people, but I notice only him, a gray-haired man with impeccable posture, sitting in the second row. My report is short and dry, but at the end, I insert a photograph. That very one, the only photograph of Emily with me in her arms. It appears on the large screen behind my back as I say, in conclusion, I want to say that investment in healthcare is not just business, but human destinies. Sometimes one decision, one missed opportunity, can cost someone their life, or an entire life with a loved one. I look directly at Lawrence. He pales when he realizes the photograph on the screen is visible to the entire hall. His gaze darts between me and the image. I see beads of sweat breaking out on his forehead. After the report, while other participants surround me with questions, he tries to quietly leave the hall, but I catch up with him in the corridor. Running away, Professor, like you did 36 years ago. He turns, his face distorted by anger and fear. What do you think you're doing? He hisses. That photograph. What are you trying to say? The truth. I step toward him. Emily Walker died a week ago. Your son, whom you rejected, found her 2 weeks before her death. You both stole from us a life that could have been. He nervously looks around. Not here. Let's talk in my office. In the elevator, we remain silent. His hands tremble as he enters the code on his office door. Inside, he immediately goes to the bar and pours himself whiskey. You want money? He asks, downing the glass. Name your price. I'll pay, just leave me alone. I laugh. Money? Do you really think this is about money? You ruined the life of a woman who loved you, rejected your own son, used connections to block her attempts to find me. He flinches. I didn't know. It was Margaret. She found out about the child and went crazy. Threatened a scandal, divorce. She had connections. I could have lost everything. Instead, you preferred that Emily lose everything. And me. He pours more whiskey. What do you want? Public repentance? My career? Reputation? I want you to feel what she felt. What I felt when I learned the truth. He looks at me with growing fear. What are you planning? I pull a flash drive from my pocket. Here's a recording of my conversation with Emily. The full version of events, including your threats, the obstacles you created for her. A copy has already been sent to the editors of 3 major medical journals and 2 national channels. If by tomorrow morning you don't resign from all posts and make a public statement about the reasons, this story will become public knowledge. His face contorts. You can't. This will destroy me. Like you destroyed Emily? Like you stole from me the chance to grow up with my real mother? He rushes to the desk, grabs the phone. I'll call the police. This is blackmail. Go ahead, I shrug. Explain to them that you're being blackmailed by your own son, whom you abandoned. I'm sure it will be an interesting story for the press. He slowly puts down the receiver. In his eyes, the hunted expression of a man cornered. You have until tomorrow. Either you leave quietly, preserving at least some dignity, or I will destroy everything you've built, just as you destroyed my life with Emily. I turn and walk to the door. He calls after me. Are you really my son? Or is this all a well-planned fraud? I turn around. Take a DNA test, Professor. The results will be in the society column if you don't meet my conditions. The next day, news of the famous neurosurgeon's resignation appears in all medical publications. In his statement, the professor cites personal circumstances and a desire to spend more time with family. At the bottom of the press release, in fine print, information about the creation of a charitable foundation supporting single mothers in his name. The second item on my list is Patricia Mitchell, the woman who bought me and passed me off as her son, the woman whose home and lifestyle I still finance. I don't warn her about my visit. I find her in the garden, cutting the last autumn flowers for a bouquet. She smiles when she sees me, but the smile fades when she notices the expression on my face. Alex, has something happened? I found her, I say without preamble. Emily Walker, my real mother. The flowers fall from her hands. Oh, and how is she? She died, a week ago, from cancer. But before her death, she told me the truth. The whole truth, Patricia. She slowly sinks onto a garden bench. Alex, listen. No, I interrupt. Now you listen to me. I know that you stole me. That you and the Lawrences threatened Emily, isolated her, blocked all her attempts to find me. You stole a mother from me and a son from her. Her face turns ashen grey. We gave you everything. Except the truth, except the love of my real mother, except choice. I loved you, desperation in her voice. Like my own, number you loved the idea of me, a suitable, convenient son. But you never truly loved me. Otherwise, you wouldn't have built everything on lies. She starts crying, covering her face with her hands. But I feel no pity, only cold determination. You have a week to pack your things and leave this house. She raises her tear-stained face to me. What? Alex, you can't. Where will I go? I don't know. I don't care. The house is in my name, and I no longer wish to finance the life of a woman who stole my real family. Please, she grabs my hand. I'm old. I have no one. Your father died. He wasn't my father. I pull my hand away. And you're not my mother. You're a thief who stole someone else's child. I leave without looking back, deaf to her pleas and sobs. Inside me, only ice and emptiness. 3 days later, Lawrence calls. Are you satisfied? His voice sounds broken. My wife filed for divorce after learning about you. My children aren't speaking to me. Colleagues whisper behind my back. The reputation I built for decades is ruined. Like Emily's reputation, like my life, which could have been completely different. What else do you want from me? Desperation in his voice. Nothing. I got what I wanted. You'll live with the consequences of your decisions, just as she lived all these years. I hang up and block his number. That same evening, an elderly neighbor of Patricia's calls me, says that my mother isn't answering calls and the lights in the house haven't been on since yesterday. Feeling a vague anxiety, I drive to the country house. The front door is unlocked. The first alarming sign. Inside, it's quiet and dark. I turn on the light and freeze. The entire floor in the living room is strewn with photographs. My photographs from infancy to the present day. Hundreds of pictures, magazine clippings, printouts. Patricia, I call, climbing the stairs. The bedroom is quiet. She lies on the bed, dressed in her best dress, hands folded on her chest. On the bedside table, an empty vial of sleeping pills and a note. Forgive me. I loved you as best I could. I hope you find peace. I look at the motionless face of the woman I called mother all my life and feel nothing but emptiness. No regret, no grief, not even satisfaction from the accomplished revenge. Police, ambulance, formal procedures. Everyone looks at me with silent condemnation. A son who evicted his elderly mother from her home. The cause of suicide is obvious. I return home far after midnight. Sarah isn't asleep, waiting for me in the kitchen. The police called me, she says. They said, your mother. She wasn't my mother. My voice sounds alien, mechanical. Sarah looks at me with horror. Alex, what's happening to you? You've changed. Since you started this search, you're like a different person. I remain silent. What can I tell her? That inside me rages a hurricane of anger, pain, and emptiness. That the revenge I considered just retribution has brought nothing but more deaths. I found my real mother, only to lose her again, I finally say. And in the process, I lost myself. 6 months pass. Life outwardly returns to its usual course. I manage clinics, hold meetings, smile in corporate photographs, but inside, a burned desert. Sarah and our daughters observe me warily. I feel the growing chasm between us, but don't know how to bridge it. Lawrence moved abroad. Sometimes his name appears in specialized publications, lectures, consultations, volunteer work in third-world countries. Redemption? Perhaps. I often think about Emily, about the life we never had, about her last words. Don't take revenge on them. It will destroy you. She was right. Revenge didn't bring back the lost years, didn't fill the emptiness inside, only created new victims, new pain. On what would have been her birthday, I go to the cemetery. I bring white roses. I don't know if she liked them. We didn't have time to discuss such details. I sit by the grave for a long time, in silence. You were right, I say into the void. Revenge destroyed me. I don't know how to put myself back together. When I return home, Sarah is sitting in the living room with an unfamiliar elderly woman. Seeing me, she rises. Alex, this is Margaret Lawrence, she says quietly. She wants to talk to you. The ex-wife of my biological father, the woman who, together with him and Patricia, ruined my real mother's life. My first impulse is to turn and leave, but something in her eyes, tired, full of pain, stops me. Why did you come? I ask. To tell the truth, her voice trembles, the whole truth that you don't yet know. We remain alone. She takes an old envelope from her bag, hands it to me. You need to see this, to understand. Inside, a medical conclusion from 36 years ago. The diagnosis circled in red marker. Schizophrenia, paranoid form. Whose is this? I raise my eyes. Emily Walker's. She pronounces the name with difficulty. Your mother's. The world around me begins to crumble again. This is a forgery. Emily was a completely healthy person. A doctor. Margaret shakes her head. She was indeed a medical student. And she was indeed pregnant by my husband. I don't deny that. But she also had a serious mental illness. She was dangerous to herself and to others, including the unborn child. I stare at her, a chill spreading through my body like ice water in my veins. The hospice room suddenly seems to flicker before my eyes. Emily's gentle smile, her fragile hand in mine, the way the light caught her grey hair. Had there been signs I missed? A certain wildness in her gaze when she spoke of the past? The way her fingers would sometimes twitch against the bedsheet when she mentioned Patricia or Thomas. You're lying, I whisper, but there's no conviction in my voice. Margaret reaches into her bag again and produces several yellowed newspaper clippings. 3 months before you were born, Emily attacked a pregnant woman in the hospital where she was doing her rotation. She claimed the woman was stealing her baby's soul. When security restrained her, she tried to stab herself in the abdomen with a scalpel to free you from the demons. The words sink into me like stones into dark water. I don't believe it. I can't believe it. And yet, this would explain many things. Her isolation, her strange life in small towns, the gaps in her story. Why should I believe you? My voice sounds distant to my own ears, as though someone else is speaking. She places the newspaper clippings on the coffee table between us. The headlines swim before my eyes. Medical student attacks pregnant woman. Delusional patient restrained after self-harm attempt. These could be about anyone, I say, but my fingers are already tracing the grainy black and white photograph. A young woman being escorted by hospital security, her face partially visible eyes wild with an emotion I can't name. I recognize that jawline, the same one I see in the mirror every morning. Margaret's voice drops to a near whisper. After that incident, she was committed to Westbrook. Check for yourself if you don't believe me. Archives of the Westbrook Psychiatric Hospital for 1987 to 1988. She was there for mandatory treatment after attempting to harm herself and you. She was 7 months pregnant at the time. A memory bubbles up from my conversation with Emily, something about the timeline not quite adding up. She'd said she'd fought for me until my birth, but in the same conversation, mentioned being released from somewhere in her 8th month. I'd assumed it was a hospital stay for pregnancy complications. Now, with sickening clarity, the puzzle pieces shift into a new arrangement. I stare at the documents, my mouth dry, pulse hammering against my temples. The hospice room where I'd spent those precious final days with Emily suddenly seems like a stage set. Too perfect, too convenient. Her stories too well crafted, her details too precise for someone on heavy pain medication. Had the cancer even been real? Or was that another fabrication? No, that at least must have been true. The medical equipment, the doctors, the undeniable physical deterioration. Margaret watches me with the careful attention of someone observing a bomb that might detonate. The night Patricia and Richard took you home, Emily escaped from Westbrook. She broke into their house 3 days later with a kitchen knife. She was caught by police before she could reach the nursery. I close my eyes, seeing Patricia's horrified face as I evicted her from her home. The terror in Professor Lawrence's eyes as I methodically dismantled his life. If this is true, then my righteous anger, my revenge, were directed at the wrong people. She wasn't allowed near you after that, Margaret continues, her voice gentler now. Court-mandated separation. It wasn't just about saving Thomas's career or giving Patricia a child. It was about protecting you. My stomach lurches. Every tender moment with Emily, every tear I'd shed at her bedside, every promise I'd made, all potentially built on a foundation of delusion and manipulation. Why are you telling me this now, after everything that's happened? The room seems to contract around me, the walls pulsing inward with each heartbeat. Margaret's hands, liver-spotted, veined, trembling slightly, retrieve something else from her bag, a small, worn leather diary. This was Emily's, from her time at Westbrook. One of the nurses kept it after. She hesitates. After Emily's first suicide attempt. I only obtained it recently. I take the diary, almost expecting it to burn my fingers. The binding is cracked, the pages yellowed. I open to a random entry, April 18th, 1988. They're trying to steal my baby again. The doctors are in on it. They put something in my food that makes the baby scream inside me. I can hear him. He tells me they're all demons wearing human skin. My baby knows the truth. We have to escape. My blood turns to slush in my veins as I flip through more pages. Rambling paranoid delusions, detailed descriptions of hallucinations, intricate conspiracies involving the hospital staff. Thomas, shadows that moved independently of people, and scattered throughout. Disturbing drawings of what appears to be an infant with too many limbs, or no face, or surrounded by what looks like flames. Margaret looks out the window, at the setting sun. Because lies have destroyed too many lives, she says quietly. Because my ex-husband, despite all his flaws, didn't deserve what happened to him. Because Patricia Mitchell loved you and cared for you as best she could. And because you deserve to know the whole truth, however bitter it may be. She rises, preparing to leave. Decide for yourself what to do with this information. But know this, Sometimes in life, there are no villains and heroes, just people trying to cope with circumstances stronger than themselves. She reaches the door before pausing. There's one more thing you should know. Emily did get better for a while. The medications helped. She completed her degree. She functioned. But the illness was always there, lurking beneath the surface. And when she saw you on television, her voice falters. Her psychiatrist called me last year. She'd stopped taking her medication, started talking about her son again, about reclaiming what was stolen from her. The room tilts sideways. Are you saying, I don't know if she sought you out because she truly wanted closure, or if she was in the grip of another psychotic episode? Perhaps both. The cancer was real at least, but I thought you should have all the pieces. After she leaves, I remain alone in the too quiet house. In my hands, documents that could overturn everything I've learned in recent months. A new truth or a new lie. The diary feels unnaturally heavy, as if the madness contained within its pages has physical weight. I flip to the last entry, dated just 3 months ago. I found him, my beautiful boy, all grown up now. He doesn't know me yet, but he will. I've been watching his house, his clinics, his family. So lovely. A wife, 2 daughters. They could be mine too. We could all be together finally. The doctors say the cancer is spreading, but they're lying. It's not cancer. It's just the darkness they put inside me all those years ago, trying to keep me from my son. Once I'm with him, I'll be cured. We'll both be free. My hands shake so badly the diary falls to the floor. I think of Emily's hospital room, how she always seemed most lucid when the nurses were present, how she sometimes looked past me, speaking to someone who wasn't there, how her stories changed subtly with each telling. Thomas becoming more villainous, Patricia more calculating, her own victimhood more complete. And I think of my own actions, the calculated destruction of 2 lives, the cold satisfaction I'd felt watching Lawrence's career crumble, Patricia's body arranged like a doll on her bed, an empty pill bottle nearby. Who was the true monster in this story? The sound of the front door opening cuts through my spiraling thoughts. Sarah's footsteps in the hallway. I quickly gather the scattered papers, shoving Emily's diary under a couch cushion. I don't know why, some instinct to protect Sarah from the darkness I've uncovered, or perhaps to protect my own fragile grasp on what's real. Sarah peeks into the room cautiously, as if afraid to startle me. Her face is pale, eyes rimmed with red. Has she been crying? Are you okay? She asks, though clearly she isn't. I shake my head. I don't know. I'm no longer sure of anything. The words come out rougher than intended. She sits beside me, takes my hand. Her fingers are ice cold. Alex, the school called today. They're concerned about Olivia, my eldest daughter, the one Lawrence operated on, his granddaughter. What's wrong? She's been talking to someone who isn't there, drawing disturbing pictures. Her teacher found a journal. Sarah trails off, biting her lip. A chill crawls up my spine. What kind of pictures? Babies with... She can't finish the sentence, but she doesn't need to. I already know. The psychologist mentioned genetic factors in early onset schizophrenia. Family history... Her eyes search mine, questioning. For a moment, the room seems to warp around me. Emily's diary burning like a brand under the cushion beside me, the tainted bloodline, the madness passing from generation to generation. But then Sarah squeezes my hand, anchoring me. Alex, whatever you've learned, whoever your biological parents were, you remain yourself. The person I love, the father of our girls. I look at her, and for the first time in many months, feel something resembling warmth cutting through the ice in my veins. I want to know the truth, I say, the whole truth, whatever it may be, about Emily, about me, about what might be in our family's blood. Then find it, and let go of the past. She squeezes my hand again, harder this time. It won't change, but the future still belongs to us. We'll get Olivia the help she needs. We'll face this together. I nod, looking at the documents hidden in my hands, aware of Emily's diary practically vibrating with malevolent energy beneath the cushion. A new investigation, a new search. But this time, not for revenge, for understanding, for healing, for my daughter. That night, after Sarah goes to bed, I return to the living room and retrieve the diary. I should burn it, destroy this poisonous record of madness. Instead, I find myself turning to the last page, blank except for a small envelope taped to the inside cover. My name is written on it in shaky handwriting. With trembling fingers, I open it, unfold the single sheet of paper inside. My dearest Alexander, if you're reading this, I've found you at last, only to lose you again. Perhaps that's my punishment. Perhaps it's mercy. By now, Margaret has likely told you about my illness, about the monster I can become when the shadows take hold. She's not lying, not entirely. I have lived two lives, one in light, one in darkness. In the light, I am Dr. Emily Reynolds, healer, caretaker. In the darkness, I am someone else entirely. Someone even I fear. I don't know which version of me found you in the end. I hope it was the right one. I hope I didn't taint your memories of me with madness. But if I did, if I spun tales of persecution and conspiracy, know this, they did take you from me. But perhaps they had to. Perhaps it was the only way to keep you safe from the greatest danger in your life, your own mother. The blood in your veins is mine, and your father's. Whatever demons haunt me may one day find you, or your children. Watch for the signs. Be vigilant in ways I never could be. Forgive them if you can. Forgive me if you cannot. With all the love my fractured soul can offer. Emily, I sit in the darkness for a long time, letter in hand, listening to the house settle around me. Somewhere upstairs, my daughter dreams, perhaps of shadows that move independently of people, of voices that whisper terrible truths. Tomorrow, I will call Lawrence, not to torment him further, but to ask about his family's medical history. I will visit Patricia's grave and beg forgiveness from a woman who cannot hear me. I will make appointments with the best psychiatrists for Olivia and perhaps for myself, because ultimately we are all both victims and executioners of our own stories. And the only way to break this cycle is to find the strength to face the darkness, in others, in ourselves, and in the blood we pass to the next generation. As I fold the letter, I swear I hear someone whisper my name from the darkened corner of the room. I don't look. Some truths are better left unexplored, at least until morning's light.